What did you
lavender or
Google?
mushroom. Say again?
What did you Google? How to make quick money and lavender and mushrooms came
Yeah,
up?
yeah, it was a list of 10 things. Well, lavender was number one and mushroom was number two. I literally Googled how could I make some money easily and quickly. And lavender and mushroom with 8 other things came up. I don't even remember the rest, but I asked my friend, lavender or mushroom? My friend's like, obviously mushroom, lavender going to be hard. I'm like, that's true. So I started looking at mushroom. My friend and I were looking at mushroom. We were trying to understand how it could possibly be done. And as I dug deeper and deeper, I realized I don't understand one word they're saying. The terminologies are strange. Everything was strange. I spoke to my best friend and her brother, and they were like, okay, we'll help you to figure it out. And we just started trying to figure it out. And that was basically the beginning.
That's Renee Molson and Jeffrey Smichael?
Yes. And the initial person I spoke to was Sade. Okay. So, yeah. So that's basically how we got started.
I'm telling you, Google is our friend. Google tells us how to make, I don't know what, but you cannot put into Google to find out. All right. So this, you said this started somewhere around 2016, right? And,
yes.
And so you obviously knew that you wanted to be making money out of this. This wasn't going to be a hobby. How long did it get you to start the actual business from that idea, from that Google search to getting started?
All right. So I like that you said Google is our friend, but I can tell you Google exaggerates. Google told me it would be easy. It took us 2 years worth of very serious research. Very serious research, because the thing is what Google was referring to is taking some mushrooms and doing it in the kitchen or in the veranda or whatever. I can teach anybody to do that. And you can just have mushrooms from home to put right from your kitchen to your pot. But what Google never told me, if I wanted to do it commercially, it would mean understanding the way the mushroom behaved and actually gathering enough knowledge to do a commercial scale mushroom cultivation. So that took a long time. It was after literally 1 full year of just reading all of the relevant books and learning the way mushroom behaves and all of the parts and the cycle and everything that we attempted to grow our first batch of mushroom. And we got some guidance from a guy called Luke. Like I started messing around with peppers, thinking I could do peppers. That was also very hard. And when I was there, Rada came to verify that the place we said we were at is the place we're at. And I had Renee and Jeffrey with me too. They were helping me to harvest. So when the guy came to do the verification, I said to him, if I want to change my thing to mushroom farmer, what do I do? He's like, mushrooms. You know, there's a mushroom meeting happening down the road. We're in St. Anne. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, we're in these overalls and we're dirty. And I'm like, guys, to the van. And he kind of led us halfway there. And he's like, just continue, you'll see them. When we got there, everybody's dressed up and they look cool. We're walking in our water boots and stuff, and we sat in the back. And Luke was doing a presentation and we just kept doing this. And he's like, hold on, you guys have knowledge, man. You're using the right terms. Here what? I'll talk to you guys after. Let's just teach everybody else. I'm like, okay. And at the end of it, Luke came to us and he's like, where did you guys learn so much? And we told him we've been studying and all of that. And he's like, you know what? I like that you didn't care. You come in here in your overalls and, you know, you're hot and sweaty and you just come and you didn't care. So I'm going to show you guys everything I know for free. I'm not even going to charge you. So it was with Luke's guidance that we did our first batch. He literally came to Manchester from Kingston and stayed with us while we went through the first step, just to ensure that we understood pasteurization and all of this, all the steps properly. That was the first time we grew mushrooms. And then because the knowledge base was not where it should be at the time, when mushrooms did grow, we didn't eat them. We threw away hundreds of pounds of mushrooms because we thought they were bad. We still did not have that core understanding. So we didn't sell it. We didn't taste it. We didn't do anything. We threw them away. We're like, okay, they're spoiled. Hundreds of pounds of mushroom.
Oh my God.
All of that investment just lost.
Oh my heart.
Yeah.
What a learning curve. What did you
Can I
learn
tell
from?
you?
Yeah, like, so how did you said you thought they were bad. So it's telling me that you subsequently learned that it was probably normal.
Right. So what happened was mushrooms, I'm going to liken it to antibiotics, right? So if they sense in the growing period, if they sense that some type of other bacteria or fungi is battling with them, they release a gelatinous substance, kind of like a antibacterial thing, and it kills anything else that is fighting. However, it really is a battle. So if the thing has more support from the environment to grow, it might overtake the mushroom, the mycelium. So that's what happened. The space we were in, there was like moisture in the ceiling, and that extra moisture was supporting the growth of a different fungi inside of the bags. However, the bags had already started producing. So we saw mold on the inside, and we figured once there's mold, mushroom isn't good. What we did find out after is once mushroom has produced, it is no longer feeding from the bag. So the mushroom is fine, but no more would be produced because the mold and the mycelium would be fighting. So we throw away all the mushroom because we saw mold in the bag, not realizing that they're now isolated. But the more we learned, the more we understood that there was a serious isolation in how the entire process worked.
Wow.
Yeah.
It really does sound like a technical process.
It is so technical, and I mean, there's been advice given that don't worry, man, it's easy. You just throw this there, throw that there. What we had to do in after we moved from our first space, we had to retrofit a space that had space for pasteurization, a space to cool what was pasteurized that is also clean. We had to have a space for the inoculation. That's where you would now put whatever you pasteurize with the spawn, which you can liken to like the seed of the mushroom, put them together and bag them in an environment that has like an air filter or something, so no other bacteria can get in except the ones you want there. Then we had a space for incubating, which is a very, very dark room, super humid. We had like a AC unit to move the temperature the way we needed, and something measuring the humidity and moisture of the room. So they need like 2 weeks worth of complete absolute darkness. So we had that. Now, from the stage I told you about, from pasteurization to incubation, anything happens, that's when you lose your crop. Once that crop makes it into the grow room where it's lights on all the time, very cool temperature, nice airflow, air exchange, you are great. Nothing else can go wrong once they've started growing. But everything before that, that's where you can lose all your money. So a lot of persons are saying they've tried mushroom. Persons have called us, we tried mushroom and they don't grow. This bacteria just take over the bag and stuff. And we're trying to explain to them it's how you start off. It has to be clean. It's based on hygiene. If you took up your phone right now and you Googled how to grow mushroom, one of the key things you'd see is hygiene. They talk about it non-stop. So you shower first to get it off you, and then you go into the spaces. So there's that element.
You know what you're describing, Peter Gay, actually sounds like the whole entrepreneurial journey to me. From that startup stage where it's research, 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 learning, 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 testing, testing, failing, flopping,
Yep.
going back around, and getting to the incubation stage where you are, okay, I have some controls in place now because I have some parameters in terms of what is supposed to happen and what it is that I want to happen. And so I'm going to put these conditions in place now, and
Yes.
with a good measure of keeping your fingers crossed and
Yes.
prayer, hope that things go according to plan. So you're learning the technical part of it now. How soon after the conceptual the learning of the researching and so on is 2016 till you actually started to say, okay, we're ready for customers now?
2018.
2018, 2 years of learning and growth.
Yep.
Learning and development.
You see, this is, I think, an important part of the journey that a lot of persons don't want to be faced with. This particular tiny story I'll tell you now was a big turning point for us. We had invested a lot of our money. We became those people. We sold everything. I brought my gold to Cash for Gold to sell it in order to get additional money, because we had to buy equipment, we had to pay for the space, and there were so many things that we weren't prepared for. So when we ran out of money, because we threw away all the mushrooms, we didn't sell any to get any money. So when we ran out of money, we started selling everything we could touch that we were like, I'm not really using that. So we got to that point, and it became very big for us that, all right, so Jeffrey and I decided we're going to get jobs just to sort out the space again. So Jeffrey and I went and we were working just to pay for every little detail, because the spawn had to be imported. It can be a little pricey. So we had to do that part of it. And then we got to a point where the space, remember I told you the space had an issue? We didn't know initially. When we realized, there was just this thing of, oh my God, we invested so much money in this space. The space isn't good. What are we going to do now? And we had this moment. It was 4 of us at the time, and all 4 of us stood in like a little kitchen area, and we were just looking at each other. I just started laughing. We just started laughing because we're just like, all right, this is the point where people get to, where they just give up and you're like, okay, we tried it. And we were just there, and we just stood and we laughed crazily for like 5 minutes, just laughing.
Like a hysteria, like.
Yes. And then we were like, you know what? We should find an investor. And everybody was just like, you know, yeah, I'm not ready to give up. We should find an investor. Everybody was like, we were on the page of, I'm not ready to give up. I don't have any more money. I don't have anything else to sell. You know, I can't figure out what else to do. We should definitely go and find an investor. And that moment has been very powerful for us. We talk about it all the time. The fact that it wasn't a group of persons who were like, okay, we get to this point in this development thing, we haven't made $1, and it's painful because you've lost and you haven't done anything as yet. But the thing I would want every person trying to start a business to know is, if you believe in your thing, it doesn't even matter if it makes sense to anybody else. You have to now think of another way to move forward. And when we said we were ready to look for investors, it was surprising. We got a good turnout. Like, we had somebody come from Saudi Arabia to possibly like invest with us with seriousness.
How did you go about seeking the investment?
All right. So what we did was we started where we knew. We started with all the persons that were aware that we were doing this niche market thing. We also spoke to our accountant. Oh, that's one of the things we did very early. We know that we can't manage money, so we got an accountant pretty early out. But there was
before you start making money
to manage. Say again.
Before you started making money, you started to manage your money.
Before we started making money, we were spending money. We were spending money. You know?
Up for that.
So we spoke to our accountant, and it was actually our accountant that is like, hey, I know an investor from Saudi should be coming to Jamaica soon. I can talk to him and hear if he's interested. And he came to the space, and, you know, we did a little tour with him. We were telling him, you know, we're thinking of changing the location and all of this. And, you know, the investor journey was powerful for us, because every investor that came, every prospective investor that came to that space, each one told us what was missing, why they couldn't invest at that point. And we took it to heart and we fixed that thing that they said. And then the next one came and it was something else. One of them told us that we were a car without wheels right now. And we were like, okay, let's get some wheels on our car. And we went through, and we were so serious. We decided, hey, we're just going to leave this space. An investor is going to have to invest in us without a space and just believe in the dream. Because everybody else came and they were able to physically see the space, walk through, see how everything operates. we're like, no, the space it's draining us. We're leaving the space and we're going to find an investor out of the space. And then came a beautiful angel called Terry Clahar. We went to JBDC because we were just like, listen, there has to be another part of this that we're not understanding by ourselves. So we went to JBDC, we registered. Terry set meetings with us and we started going through, and she was telling us the importance of having the administrative part of things done. So saying, good job, guys. You did the market research. You have the accountant, even though you're not making any money. You've done good things that other people neglect, but you have not yet developed your administration. Now, props to Terry, and I'm telling you, like, Terry for me is the epitome of what JBDC stands for. Because, no, I'm telling you seriously, the Terry stayed with us. We got the most unlikely link to a prospective investor. Just out of nowhere, it happened. We don't have a space, we don't have anything. Terry arranged for us to use the Mandeville YIC space to have the pitch. And she was with us every single day, working through the pitch, teaching us what to do, the correct things. We watched other pitches. And I mean, she was there. And she told us the day of the pitch, she's like, I have a class, but I'm coming to your pitch, okay? We're like, please come, we're scared. She's like, I'm coming, I have a class. And right when we were about 10 minutes in the pitch, there comes Terry walking in. She holds a seat at the table. And every little thing we forgot, she's there mouthing it. She's like, it was so awesome. She was there with us right through to the end. And at the end of the pitch, the prospective investor is like, listen, we're already 50% in. You just needed to convince me. I'm going to think about it and I'll get back to you guys. And I mean, like in 3 weeks, we got the go ahead that we got the investor. So, I was, listen, the first person we call was Terry, because it's like her win too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know that this is a JBDC forum, and I'm not trying to be like on a JBDC thing, but I'm telling everybody watching, guys, honestly, go and get a video. It actually helps. It literally helps. No joke. The improvements that we had interacting in that short space with Terry up to the pitch, it has been stuff that has maintained straight throughout, like right now. You know what I mean? So it really helps.
All right, Peter Gay, I wish we couldn't pay you for that endorsement just now. Without even asking, it means a lot to hear you say it. But it for me, it is even more useful and powerful that you said it in a space where it is demonstrating what we are actually pushing right now. Because I don't know if you're aware of the recent project, the launch of the Formalizing Agriculture and Fisheries project that we launched recently.
No, I'm not aware of that one.
Yeah, man, just last week, and it's being sponsored by the International Labour Organization. But the move is really to encourage the players in the agriculture and fisheries sector to formalize, to get in. And part of it is not just getting your registration with RADA or even getting your registration with like the company's office and such, but it's also about the business practices, implementing the administration and the governance and the supporting infrastructure, the strategy. Because when you're talking about developing a pitch there, it's really helping you to pull together a strategy that will convince an investment to buy into what it is that you are doing. Because you just said you got investment without even wheels on the car.
Having a space.
Without having, literally, you sold them the dream. You sold them the dream. And you were able to do that because what? You didn't just sell them a concept without doing anything. You had done a lot. You had 2 years in the back of experience of testing and valid testing and experimenting. And so you had figured out, you had answers. So when they ask questions, you would have been able to say, yes, we have done this, or they would have been able to see already what you've already done. So, there's so many lessons and so many valuable points to take from what you have just shared with us in terms of the seed stage of the journey. Because guys in the audience, guys out there on Instagram, if you're listening, if you're following on YouTube, this is what startup is. This is the journey of the startup business, testing and validating the business model, not just coming up and say, yes, I'm going to start mushrooms or whatever other idea you have. It is about, yes, I got this idea, but no, I have got to find a business model. I've got to find a way to make this idea that I have into a viable, profitable business that has the potential to scale. So you guys are, this is a great testimony. Love it so far. So I want to know now, your first customer, how you get your first customer?
All right. So the first customer, I think the first persons that bought were more like person to person.
Mm-hmm.
But what
the biggest one, right?
What I did was, we created these little baskets. They were beautiful. And we had these large toadstool oyster mushroom things attached to these brown woven baskets. And I made so many of them. And I drove to every hotel and dropped them off. And they let me in because I said, I have mushrooms to drop off. And they're like, oh, delivery. And when I went to a chef, the chef would just be like, where did you buy these? And I'm like, I grew them myself. I picked them this morning. And he's like, no, I have to cook these now. I've had so many chefs cook them immediately and have me taste them. They're so obsessed. They're like, listen, do you taste that fresh flavor? I'm like, I know my mushrooms, yeah. But one of the first hotels and the most consistent hotel was Hilton. When I went to Hilton, the chef came out and he was just like, okay, yeah, I don't really need much information. I'd like an order next week. It was so epic. So they have been one of the most consistent persons for us. So it was literally going to...
You were frozen for a little bit.
Oh, wow. Sorry about that.
Or if it's your internet.
But right, I was saying it was Hilton that was one of the first ones.
Right.
The chef saw it. He's like, I don't need much information. Mm-hmm. I just need this order next week. They're perfect. They're beautiful. And they've been one of our most consistent clients right up until we had to close. Wow. So they have loved our mushrooms. I mean, but literally it was a lot of driving and talking and convincing and showing. And just like, they all loved the little presentation. The chefs took pictures and, they're like, you can post it. It was getting the foot through the door part of it. That was the little issue, because though the chefs wanted it, I still had to do visits again to get the purchasing managers to sign off on it. So it was a lot of road time. It was a lot of road time.
I just want to highlight before I pick up on the last thing you mentioned about the journey and the closure. And we know we're going to talk about how COVID has impacted the business, but I wanted to highlight, how many entrepreneurial characteristics, how many traits are coming up. As we have listened to you describe the journey and what it is that the team at Toadstool has done and has continued to do to get where you are now. And I've picked up that persistence, that dogged determination to really see a vision, see an idea and a thought through. You guys have demonstrated that. And when you come into, anybody comes into any one of the programs that we do here, if you are at any stage at all, we're gonna assess your mindset. And the first thing in mindset, we're looking at some of the things that an entrepreneur needs to cultivate in themselves if they don't naturally have it, and determination, self-belief, confidence, and perseverance. And you have demonstrated how those things have paid off, because you have listed situations that a lot of people would consider to be huge, insurmountable obstacles. One, not knowing, just the lack of knowledge, and taking 2 years to learn. Who does that? You have to have a certain mindset in order to sit with something for that long and not, as you said, getting anything from it. in terms of returns. The money is coming in at that point. So there's perseverance, there's that confidence and belief. And then there is the whole ability to network and to seek help. You don't stick to yourself. You don't think that only you alone is capable and will have the ability to bring this thing to reality. From day one, you brought your friends in, and then you sought other persons out there who would have either the relevant knowledge and information or expertise to guide you. And because of your passion and commitment and what they have seen in you, they were willing to help. You mentioned Luke, who said, I'm not going to even charge you. I'm going to give you this service free just because of the passion. So sometimes people will come, and I'm pointing these things out because sometimes people note the same challenges that you have mentioned as obstacles that they can't seem to get over, and you are showing that with the right kind of, or a set in the mind, the right type of approach, anything is surmountable. So I wanted to just highlight that before. Now you can tell us how it is that COVID has impacted your young startup business, and how it is that you're looking to how you've been handling that, how you've been dealing with that.
All right. So before COVID started, well, I don't know if I'm preempting you, but we kind of did the accelerator program. Mm-hmm. And at one of the things we took away from the accelerator program was how to move forward to scaling properly, right? Mm-hmm. So that was very big for us. And it got me thinking about what I was learning from my markets. What was I overlooking in these markets that they keep telling me over and over? So I kind of took some time, went back, team and I went through, we came to an agreement, spoke to the investor, pitched it, because it has to be a pitch. So it means that we would have sorted it out, pitched it, investor loved it. And then what was left was, how are we going to execute this thing that everybody now loves, doesn't exist here at all? How are we going to get it done? So we took what we learned from the accelerator and basically put it together to create a profile for the expansion, right? So when we created the profile, I started pressuring Jeffrey. I'm like, Jeffrey, you are our technical guy. You're going to figure out how we can get this technically done. He went, he came back, he's like, I can't see how it's going to be done. Then finally he found a way for it to be done. Then it wasn't good enough. When I call the agencies, it's not good enough, right? So right before COVID, everything we were doing was leading to an expansion. We used this momentum that we had, and we were pushing forward. And this push forward led us to connecting with international persons, trying to figure out how to actually get this to fit into the Jamaican frame. And, we met with a lot of individuals all over the world. One of the strongest connection was like the Netherlands. And I mean, I guess that might be a different story later, but the point of telling you that part of it to lead up to COVID, every step that we were taking was towards this expansion. And then when COVID came about, and I mean, I don't think anybody thought it would have affected our region as terribly as it did. So everybody was moving along as per usual. But when it came to about March last year, we realized that we had to close shop totally, because the hotels started minimizing orders and it was dwindling down. And the persons were now saying, okay, this thing seemed like it's going to happen for real. They started holding on to money. Restaurants that we were supplying to were minimizing orders. And we're just like, sometimes you have to know when to take a break. The point was to take a break from this space that we were in and continue and start again in a new space that we were heading towards. However, as the months continued, it got worse and the hotels were permanently closed. So what we did instead was use the time to kind of reinvent the model. So now the hotels are no longer our primary focus. They are part of the main focus because they contribute to a large part of the mushroom consumption for the island. However, they are secondary. They're no longer our core focus. So we took this time doing nothing, making no money, and kind of reinvented our market yet again. We got help, which maybe we'll talk about a little later. We got some help, but we reinvented our market while we were not operating. I mean, looking at it, it wasn't an error because it really was the importation that we wanted to help to minimize why we focused on the hotels. We wanted to ensure that things that can be grown here should be grown here and be used here. We never needed to be importing thousands of kgs worth of mushrooms when we can produce it here, you know? So this was why the hotel was a main focus for us. But we learned very hard that you can't have one sector being the core of your entire business. So even though we did sell person to person, a lot of vegans bought, a lot of vegetarians, persons who just want to supplement when they're going to have meat or not have meat. We had a lot of those persons. We didn't build anything around them. So when they dwindled, it's just like, you know, so there was no core market.
So
and the core market closed their shutters, you know, so we really, really took a beating, like really. And even right now, the hotels, they're not ordering high-end products. So even if we were supposed to say today, you know, let's just do it for the hotels, they're not taking that type of product right now because they're operating at 50% or less. So luckily we reinvented our model during last year and even into now.
Okay. So I don't think we have enough time to get into the story, but you did tell me about it this morning of how the pivoting of the business model was facilitated in large part in 2019 when that pressuring that you put on to Jeffrey to research feasible ways to facilitate the expansion led to you making connections in the Netherlands. And the entire lot of you ended up going to Netherlands, being sponsored by the Ministry of Investment, Commerce and Agriculture and Fisheries at the time.
Yeah.
Go and do a study tour there, which basically set you up in a huge way to understand mushroom production even more, and now being able to figure out how it is that you can produce in a way and have a business model that will support you beyond COVID. You're saying basically that part of the what you've learned was how to shift and shift the customer segments, because I don't hear you say it explicitly, but I'm imagining that you having learned about or suffered from having just one primarily main customer segment now means you'd have probably, is it that you have an additional tiers of customers now, or a new segment of customers?
Okay, so it's both. We have additional tiers, but now we're also looking at new segments. And this part of it, I'm comfortable saying, like, export is a major part of it now, you know? So we have looked at who needs us, how far we can go, and how we can get there. So yes, we have expanded our segment, but we also created new segments we weren't ready to look at for maybe another year or two, because we were thinking, oh, we would need this thing. You know, sometimes as business owners, we glamorize what we think we might need, and it really is more simple than we think it is. It's just that we haven't gotten to the place as yet where we've broken it down in such a way that it comes back to you as something that's doable today, you know? So I think ultimately
that's such a good point. I'm sorry that you said have the vision and have the ambition, but make it come back to you in a way that is doable today.
Yeah.
All of us in life could take that lesson. I need to take that lesson. I'm sorry, that just struck me because you're right. We do sometimes make what we want to do into such a big thing that we can't get past the bigness of it to starting. And so it's
Yeah.
important to have an implementation plan that allows you to start now. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we had to do. We were forced to, because I mean, when you're looking at what are you going to do now to move forward, these things that you were thinking was maybe 2 years in the making, they are the things that make the most sense right now. So now you have to do the backbreaking work of figuring out how to do it right now. But I mean, as soon as you start it feels less backbreaking, because you realize how you have all the tools already to get it started. You may not have all the tools to get it done, but you have all the tools to get it started. So I mean, that was one of the core things for us, recognizing, all right, so yes, import substitution, but how about adding to the export value also? You know what I mean? Why not? When you're doing a product that the entire Caribbean is importing from the US and China every single day, you know what I mean? So why not from right next door where you're getting a better quality product at basically the same price? You know what I mean? So it really allowed us to open our eyes to what is possible. I mean, I've told people, COVID is not nice, but COVID can be a positive if you use the time wisely. It's not a good time for us, this lockdown, mask up. But I mean, if you are the person who inside of this lockdown, you take the time and you say, okay, what do I want to achieve? Never again will you have this much time. When everything is resolved, like we're hoping it will be, we're going to be even busier than we were in 2019. So I mean, this is a perfect time to build out everything that you want to. You have all of these opportunities online to test your market more than ever. Everybody is communicating online, so you can now easily ask people, what do they want from you? What would you like to see me do? You can gather information. Everybody has more time. You know what I mean? So why not look at that? And yeah,
That's
that's kind
excellent.
of what we did.
Yeah, I read somewhere, I think this morning or yesterday, that says, write your vision in pen ink and write the path to it in pencil. And that just sums up what it is that you're speaking to. The vision is still there, import substitution, but the path to it, as in, it can be rewritten. It can be rewritten.
Yeah.
So many powerful, powerful lessons, so many valid points you have raised thus far, Peter Gay. I want to now turn to our audience on the social platforms here in the Zoom as well. If you have any questions for Peter Gay, right now is the time to ask her, because we're just about winding down to wrap the conversation. And as you can see, you have her now. She is she's an expert in mushrooms right about now. So if you have any interest there, you can shoot any questions to her and maybe she can help you out. But also, if you're not you're not into mushrooms and that's not where your thing is at, she's also demonstrated that she has a strong entrepreneurial aptitude and will be able to give some very useful pointers and advice, even for anybody who may be at this seed or early stage part of their entrepreneurial journey. So we're looking out. If you're on social, the questions will be fielded over just the same. If you're in here, you can shoot the questions in and I will feed them over to Pete again. All right. So Pete again, what is your ultimate? I don't know if it is a fair question to ask at this point in time. But do you have an ultimate vision for Toadstool now, or even for yourself as an entrepreneur? What do you see? What do you see for yourself as an entrepreneur 20 years from now?
Um, the thing for me is, I said this all the time, so anybody who knows me knows the answer already. I really want to be a venture capitalist. Like that is my end all. Yeah, I realize I'm obsessed with business, and I also realize that a lot of persons have brilliant ideas and there's nobody backing them. You know what I mean? They don't have a lot of support, a lot of belief. There is not enough funding available. So that is the end all in terms of Toadstool. Honestly, the thing that we discuss inside of Toadstool, it might sound almost like, we're trying to make it seem pretty, but it really is our truth. We want to develop an entire industry where everybody feeds off of what the Toadstool is doing and can feed back into what the Toadstool can offer. The thing about mushrooms, there's so many sub-industries that are available. And if we can, with our desire for something being completed, if we can cause somebody else to start an entire job, an entire other cross section, we'd be very happy to do it. You know what I mean? This is one of the amazing things that came out of our last, the oyster mushroom production. When we're finished with the waste from the mushrooms being grown, it's very, 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 very awesome. So what we've done, we gave it to farmers. So they'd use it as mulch. It's rich, protein, nitrates, everything. When these farmers use our waste, we're getting calls saying, hey, I use this thing and I get 3 times the amount of crops I was getting before. Wow. And when we went to the Netherlands, we found out that it's an actual thing that they do in the Netherlands because it really does increase yield. So one of the things that we want to do an actual study. We want to give it to the farmers. We want them to use it. We want to record crop without it, crop with it. We want to have something that we now can say, okay, guys, you need to use this because this, and it's a natural component or whatever else. If we want to can something, somebody's a brine maker. We can make some brine unique to Jamaica. We don't want to do all the parts for ourselves. We want to create an entire industry that is geared towards us being powerful mushroom competitors in the marketplace. So we can't do that by ourselves. We know what we're passionate about, but the type of things that we're looking at, mushroom pharmaceuticals is a big thing. Maybe somebody here can take on something like that and we would provide the part that we provide. So we're looking at building the industry in a way that other areas can be created out of it. Exactly. So we don't want to just the mushroom as food. We want Jamaica to be the place that you sell the Jamaican flag on a bottle of mushroom pills. Right now, if you go to a farms, what do they call them? Those
like
are
a health
stores.
Health store?
Yeah, the health store, right. You go to one of those, you'll see oyster mushroom in capsules. We can do that. We can do that right here for ourselves and actually send it out. Why are we importing it? You know what I mean? And it's just oyster mushroom. All they did is put it in a capsule. We have gone to SRC to test making our things dried and powdered. We sell them as seasoning, or you can add it to your soups and stuff. We've tested all of that, but we don't necessarily want to do that in the Toadstool, but we wanted to know that it was possible and it's good so other persons can do it. You know what I mean? So that's really the aim for the Toadstool, to build up an entire industry around mushroom. We want people to understand their local mushroom strains and see that they can use it to make bags and shoes and all of that. There's mushroom leather that exists. You know what I mean? It's really a big deal, So when we say development, we're not just thinking about self, we're thinking about country, So that really is the long-term goal, to make it a full industry in all of its embodiment. So that is really the Toadstool aim. Yeah.
But Peter, you make me want to go do some mushroom. You want to do some mushroom. Like your passion is so infectious.
Yeah, I love mushrooms, man.
And like I feel like I want me some mushrooms in my life. Right. No. But I love it. I love the fact that you have such depth of knowledge and appreciation for the industry, for the sector, for the product, that you are able to have this bigger vision, this broader vision for what is possible. And that is the value of knowledge. That is the value of being hungry for information, and having the discipline and that passion to actually go out and get it, because it's possible for anything. I love that. And I hope that people are soaking it up through the airwaves, across the bandwidths of whatever we're shooting across this messaging, the medium that we are using, because it's really, really important, especially for our young people coming up. I mean, I said at the beginning, you are in a sector and industry that is not traditional for women. It's not traditional for young people either. But you have gone into it. You've explored it from a perspective that is research and data driven. That is being informed and driven by the profitability side of it, and not just the production side of it. If you go back, people, to our faith, to the JBDC Facebook page, and I think maybe on YouTube by now, you listen to the conversation that we had in our business dialogue. I think it was just Wednesday evening, and we were talking about agriculture, and how it is to modernize, and how to formalize agriculture, because agriculture is big business, but we need to shift how people perceive it. And I was saying some of the things that you are bringing out right now, and some of the speakers that were there were talking about some of these things. And I mean, there are barriers, yes, but there's so much opportunity, so much opportunity. So I'm going to I see a few questions that have come in, and somebody wants to know, it's it says Luz V726. Where in Manchester are you located? Hatfield? I don't know if that's specific
Yeah,
enough.
it's Hatfield, but like I said, we had to close shop, so we are not literally in Hatfield anymore.
How do people
Say
contact?
again?
How do people contact you?
Oh, okay. So you can contact us via email at thetoadstool.ja@gmail.com. And sadly, I don't know the number from my brain.
The toadstool
.ja
.ja@gmail.com.
And we're on Instagram.
Send that out there.
And I think the phone number is on Instagram. I can't remember the phone number.
Use Google. Remember, she got her start on
Oh
Google.
yes, and we have a website. We have a website. It's thetoadstoolja.com.
Yes, and
toadstoolja.com.
I like your website. It's very attractive.
Renee made it.
Really?
Yes.
I like it. Using the technology and I like it, man.
Yes, man. Renee's got very skilled at making websites.
All right. So that's how you reach her. Who else is there? EB Tiffany wants to know, and these are from Instagram, so I'm reading the Instagram handles. How did you gain the confidence to start?
I mean, I think I'm generally a confident person, but in terms of, I have a strange thing about me. As soon as I get a little information, I'm curious and I keep digging, and then I dig and I dig. So that's how I do a lot of things that I've done, by just
following the information.
I really use Google a lot.
Follow the information.
But yeah, I mean, if you really have something that you're passionate about and you want to start it and you're feeling like you don't have enough confidence, the confidence generally comes from knowledge, truthfully. So it's better if you read more about the thing, learn more about it, talk to your friends about it. The more you talk about something with knowledge, you feel more confident about the topic itself. And then if it's something you want to start, you'll be more able to start it that way. So get info first. Information is the confidence.
I couldn't agree more. I endorsed that 10 times. I said the same thing. The topic I spoke on that same panel I talked about Wednesday evening, and the topic was demystifying the farmer's office, and one of the lines I remember coming to mind was that in the absence of knowledge, fear will appear. So once you start to know, it diminishes the space for the fear. Excellent, excellent. All right, so Glenda Gay wants to know, it's from YouTube, talk about the product, talk about the byproduct from the mushrooms that farmers can use on their, oh, you already did. You already spoke about that. And Tiffy First Lady says, oh, I already asked that one about the confidence. What are your success habits? This is from Inco Drums. What are your success habits?
All right. So in terms of success habits, I would say that it is information firstly. I always try to be as informed as possible about whatever I'm interested in. So there might be things you ask me and I know nothing. It's because I have no interest. So one of the other things is I truly believe in meditation. I believe it is imperative, really, really, really imperative to just get into that state of having a clear mind, and so you can face whatever you have to face. Because the truth is, not every day you're going to wake up feeling amazing and feeling like you can take over the world. That's not a daily thing. However, if you meditate, I kind of started yoga again. You know, meditation, yoga, it really, really helps. It really helps with having a better day than you would have had. I read a lot. Like I read everything. I will read a little sign 7 times. I like reading. I think reading is one of the things that we miss out on. Because the more you read, even if the material feels familiar, you're learning something different based on how another person presents it. And when in the absence of reading, I listen to audiobooks. So I listen to them a lot. I actually go to bed with an affirmation playing every night. I am affirmation every single night, like clockwork. I never, ever go to sleep without it. Just to remind me that I am all these things and I can just execute whatever it is I'm doing. So those are a few of the things. I drink a lot of tea.
Tell me how that help with the success feat again, please. I drink all tea, but tell me how it help. I'm not feel successful yet. Tell me. Drink.
Well, I guess
taking notes. Drink tea.
But yeah, that's mostly what I do.
Okay.
So
and I was like,
yeah.
That question by Inco Drums, excellent question, because we got some excellent answers from Peter Gay for this one. My personal favorite is to drink tea, because I like to drink tea. So I want to drink some more tea and hope that my success increases. All right, but excellent points to Peter Gay. Research. This is also another entrepreneurial trait that we recommend and is taught in our mindset program here at JBDC for our entrepreneurial mindset programs. Research, a hunger for knowledge, being curious and being driven to know. She has that one though. Meditation and yoga is for Peter Gay, but maybe that's not for you. But I get from that is that you need some kind of centering practice, some kind of spiritual practice that centers you. So it could be prayer. I don't know what meditation means for everybody. Everybody might have their own different ideas of that. But it's really something that gets you clear and calm and above the fray of activity in your daily life and create some kind of space for you to be inspired. Yeah, am I describing that right, Peter?
Yeah,
that's what it does, right? Yeah. Okay. And read broadly. So this also kind of ties in with the information and with that curiosity that is important. Reading broadly helps you to think broadly as well. So when you're being creative and innovative, you can have a lot more to draw on. Affirmations, yeah, boost with the confidence. So that person who asked about the confidence thing, this is a good way to boost the confidence because we have different senses. We have five senses. That means we receive information through in multiple ways, five different stimuli, types of stimuli that could really input into us, into our programming, because yes, we do have programming. That is why marketers market to us and can be successful, because we do get affected by the programming that we receive. So be the author of your own programming. And having affirmations, what you put in, is one way of doing that. And drink tea. My favorite. Not leaving that one out, Peter Gay. Drink tea. Yes. So my favorite is ginger and turmeric. Whatever is your favorite tea, drink tea. It will aid in your success, according to Peter Gay. Like Peter Gay, this has been such a fabulous conversation. I don't even want to end it, but we have already gone over our usual allotted time because we started late because of the technical difficulties. So I am going to wrap at this time. I see no further questions coming in. So do you want to say anything as a final word to, whether it be female entrepreneurs, potential females, young persons, as it relates to why they should consider entrepreneurship as a way towards their free, well, I'm putting words in your mouth, but why should they consider entrepreneurship? Or what kind of encouragement words, what kind of final words would you give to them?
All right. So the key thing that I would say to young persons, women looking to start their entrepreneurship journey or expand on it, whichever direction they're at right now, is, you know, belief in self. Because at the end of the day, you are your business. The behavior that you portray is the way the business is going to basically operate. And just to use like JBDC as an example, right? You find when you go to any JBDC office, you find personalities that mimic Kira's personality. And I mean, they're different people, but it is just the standard of the organization. So it gets passed across the board. And it's the same kind of thing. If it is that you're entering into your business with little confidence, it will almost be a part of your product. People will sense that lack of confidence in the product. They'll sense the lack of confidence in the service. I mean, you can sell something that is subpar for a high price with very good confidence. You know what I mean? And you can have something that is high value and it really should be sold for more, but you get a lower price because the energy behind it, your demeanor behind it is it calls for minimizing. So the thing that I would definitely say is move forward with confidence. The fake it till you make it actually works. It actually works. Because if you've only sold one thing, but when you're telling somebody about your business and you talk about your sale, you don't have to let them know it's one sale, you just talk about your sale confidently, how the client reacted, all of this. People feed off of good energy, real confidence and positivity. And that is the core of entrepreneurship, because half the time, truthfully, it's 2 years later, we know what we were doing 2 years ago. You know what I mean? So you get 2 years later by just faking it until you make it. And 2 years in the future, you would have gathered that information when you were faking it, and you would become so much better for it. So I think just move out with the confidence, own the thing, own it. It's your idea, it's your baby, own it, step into it, present it like you know it. Or if you don't know it well enough, go and know it a little bit more and present it with confidence. People buy into confidence. That's what I'd say. I think that's one of the the key components, is one of the core ingredients in the tea of success.
I say nothing more after this other than thank you, Peter Gay. This was enriching. I don't even need lunch after this. My belly full, my mind full. I just I go drink some tea and
Drink
call it
some tea.
deal. Excellent, Peter Gay. I look forward to having future conversation with you when you are at the next level with Toadstool and whatever else it is that you're doing. The audience and I thank you. Max Norton is saying excellent and thank you as well. And to all of you who joined us this afternoon, thank you for sharing your lunchtime with us as well. And we will see you again next week for another entrepreneurial conversation on the entrepreneur's journey. Have a blessed afternoon and a great weekend.